I'm James from Aluminati Guitars out of Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm here at FRET12, our new dealer in Chicago. We actually started in Chicago. I was a guitar player for a lot of punk and alt country bands here in Chicago through the late 90s, through the mid 2000s. And I had some friends that had aluminum instruments and I played them and they were amazing, but they were heavy and they didn't stay in tune very well. They had the sound that I wanted in a guitar, but not any of the other features. So fast forward to 2008, I was working for a company called Industry 9, which makes high-end cycling componentry. And it was there that I learned a lot about the fabrication and engineering behind aluminum and carbon fiber bicycle wheels that needed to be very light and strong. And I used to go for mountain bike rides out in Pisgah Forest with their senior engineer. And I remembered back to the days of playing here in Chicago with the aluminum guitars that I liked the sound of, and I approached him and asked if he could help me maybe kind of change the paradigm. So what we did is we got together and I used my knowledge of how I wanted a guitar to be and how they're put together to create sound, and his engineering skills to make an extremely lightweight, tuning stable instrument that has very low action. Sort of went through all the pain points from a standpoint from not only wooden instruments, but also all of the aluminum instruments that are from the 60s all the way through now. We offer lifetime warranties. There's very little to no maintenance that you ever have to do on our instruments. So you can come into FRET12 and pick up any of our guitars off the wall, and most likely it's going to be in tune. So we make aluminum guitars and basses and aftermarket aluminum guitar and bass necks. This is one of our full aluminum, but we also do carbon fiber fretboards, which is extremely tuning stable and has a chime and resonance all its own. So right now we have 2 different guitar models and 2 different bass models. We started by making the aluminum guitars with lucite bodies, which you can see here glowing next to me. The lucite's nice because it's a very static material to build with. Lucite is a very consistent static material that doesn't change with temperature or humidity. It has a really great mid-range response. So these make really great lead instruments, or for bass they track really great, they cut through the mix. We do aftermarket necks as well. So if you have any FMIC neck pocket, which is a Fender like a Telecaster or Stratocaster, or like a P bass or J bass, you can buy one of our necks and they retrofit directly in without any modifications to your existing instrument. They just bolt on. It takes about 5 minutes, and most likely you'll be able to lower the action, and you'll notice right away how much better your instrument stays in tune, how much more resonant it is, how much easier it is to play. With the stainless frets that we polish to a mirror finish, bending is just the easiest thing ever. It feels like butter. They're lightweight. The aftermarket necks weigh under 2 pounds for the guitar necks and a little over 2 for the bass, so they weigh the same as wood, so you don't get dreaded neck dive. It takes 90% less energy to recycle aluminum than it does to make it in the first place. So yeah, the instruments have far less carbon footprint than a normal wooden instrument. We would never use a rainforest wood or anything like that. Try to only use things that are stable, and some of our carbon fiber is 100% recycled. We've been doing some 3D printing of bodies out of 100% recycled carbon fiber, which is pretty crazy. Environmentally, they're actually much more stable than a wooden guitar. The industry's been built on deforestation since guitars have been made, and we're trying to change that paradigm just a little bit in the industry to show people that you can use advanced materials and other materials besides wood. I hear guitar and bass techs all the time. They tell me that You know, whether it's, you know, by a bunch of hot flash pots or hot lights, or just being outside in the cold, playing larger arenas, that the tuning stability is much better than a wooden instrument for a touring musician. They basically get them down from the stage, wipe some sweat off, and then hand them right back to the artist to keep playing without having to do any tuning or anything. Also, they're extremely quiet. With the faux aluminum, that blocks 60 cycle hum. It just doesn't get through it. And with our lucite and our wooden instruments, we don't use plastic pick guards. Our pick guards are actually anodized aluminum, which blocks 60 cycle like a champ. So you'll notice that when you plug any of our instruments in, is they are just dead silent until you hit the strings. You'll notice too, like when you plug it into an amp that you're used to, you're gonna have to change the settings a bit because they run much louder and much brighter sounding than any wooden instrument. I've had artists tell me that after they order it and they get it in, they don't use their Les Paul or Tele as much, even when recording, because the tone you can get out of these and the way we set up the tone control, you can actually get most of those sounds with just a 3-way toggle and our tone. Yeah, if you don't want to take your guitar in for a setup a few times a year, or you needed it to be refretted, or just adjusting the truss rod, these are definitely the instruments for you. It's engineering and materials. I think we're probably the only guitar company with like an actual engineer on staff. It's overkill. Like, these are over-engineered. Like, even though they're lightweight, they're actually stronger than if we used like a solid construct for the necks. We actually engineer mojo into each instrument, which is weird to say because, you know, you think of mojo like just something that you pick up and immediately you're like, you can rock on, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a rock and roll machine. Our instruments are like that. Like, I am not a great guitar player by any stretch, but when I pick up one of ours and plug in, I can play things that I shouldn't be able to play. They're really easy to play. The attack and response is just instant, and yeah, they're just really easy to play, and that's all engineered.